Good Wednesday morning, April 9th here, 9 a.m. Eastern Time. Michael Clark with BAM Weather with your latest long-range forecast outlook today. Hey, we're going to talk about the remainder of April and May and the pattern here for, what the weather is looking like for those of you wanting to get out into the fields and get some planting done and get some field work done, and just those of you in general curious about the long-range outlook in and of itself. So if the video brings any value to you today, you enjoyed it, you liked it, if it made you interested or curious, subscribe to the YouTube channel so you can get these weekly as we talk about the weather. So let's get into this. We'll get rid of my face and go into the 7-day rainfall analysis here from our Clarity platform. Remarkable rainfall numbers over the last 7 days. With Clarity, you can interrogate down to field level and get rainfall totals. I can zoom all the way down into here into portions of western Kentucky. Look at this. These are 7-day rain numbers. 15 inches of rain. Just incredible rainfall amounts here that fell across portions of Kentucky, Tennessee, portions of Arkansas, southeastern Missouri, even up here into central and south central Indiana, here Morgan County, places like just west of Martinsville, Indiana, 7.5 inches of rain the last 7 days. And you can see kind of the stark contrast in where the rainfall didn't really amount to much, which is further back north into the west. If I go to our agricultural tab, look at the soil moisture percentile index, and yeah, you can see, look, it's obviously incredibly wet across the deep south where it is drier. We'll change the background here. You see the state lines where it's definitely drier across the central plains and the northern plains as well, and as well in the southern Canadian prairies. Soil is rather dry and moisture is needed. If we look at the GDU forecast over the next 10 days in terms of accumulating any growing degree units whatsoever, we will be running well below the normal here in the east, while we'll start to accumulate more of them in the central plains. A lot of planting and field work is going to be able to go on out in the western half of the belt this week, just due to the simple fact that it's going to be warmer and drier. Our Clarity 7-day rainfall forecast keeps it dry in the central U.S. and may need rain. In the southern Canadian prairies, northern plains, you might get some. And then out here to the east, there's better chances of rain here into the mid-Atlantic and the northeast, getting some rain here in the 7-day period going forward. So let's take a look at things. This is what precipitation, the percent of normal was in the last 7 days. This is not a look here that you would see too often. When you look at the percent of normal rainfall, this large of an area at 200% plus of the normal rain is really, it's just not anything I've ever seen before. And then to even have a larger area that's 400 to 800% of the normal, you've just had a historical amount of rain. You're 1,000% plus the normal rain here, where the worst of the flooding was the last 7 days. So you can clearly see where it got really wet. A lot of moisture has fallen into the ground, and that certainly probably is going to have an impact on getting out and getting any field work done. It just being wet right now. The last 60 days, obviously the big event puts a huge dent in the 60-day normal as well when you have an event like this. But you can kind of see where it has been wet as it pertains to agricultural interests, and then the last 60 days where it hasn't been wet. And that's kind of drawing that line. And here across the central and south central U.S., where there has just really been a lack of moisture the last 60 days. All right. When you couple it with temperatures, it's been warm too, especially over the last month. We've ran a solid 4 to 8 degrees above normal, even 8 to 10 degrees above the normal in the east. It's been very mild, but we've had a big cold front come through, and we're going to see a little bit of a change here. April's going to run cool for the next few weeks. That's something we're certainly going to continue to deal with here in the coming weeks, is some cooler weather to the east. All right, the warmth out ahead and the cold behind has set up shop for multiple tornadoes. In fact, we had stuck out a graphic earlier, and I'm going to pull it up here because it's very, very interesting how many tornadoes year to date we have dealt with here in the central U.S. And the severe weather thing forecast was, it was a big thing this year about having a lot of tornadoes and severe weather. But gosh, look at this. The number of tornadoes in these states here so far year to date has been nothing short of incredible. And now, as we get later into April and into May, now I become worried really for these states to add up big time. I think we could get really active for severe weather and tornadoes here as we get into May. So let's take a look here. This is, by the way, this is our new weather modeling platform that I'm very excited to roll out here in the next few days. You'll be seeing information on how to register and get access to it. No domains with rapid interaction, rapid interrogation. And we can look at the precipitation forecast here. This is from the latest ECMWF model. Again, I don't need domains. I can go wherever I want to go. And I can look at the rainfall forecast. Again, we'll just go over the next 7 days. This is just out through 7 days. You can see, again, the European focusing on the primarily precipitation in the east. Even out to 10 days, it's somewhat rather inactive. When you look at 10-day numbers in mid-April, this is below the average. There is a potential for 1/2 inch to 1 inch of rain here across portions of Missouri, Illinois, Indiana. That's the European. Here's the GFS, a little bit heavier out through 10 days. Nonetheless, you can see the majority of the precipitation here focused off to the east, where you're going to be looking at places that could get 2 to 3 inches of rain, an active storm pattern here in the east here if you ask the GFS weather model. Go back to the European. Again, what I'm just kind of showing you is how quickly we can navigate. It's really, really neat. And then if you have a particular area of interest, let's say I'm right here, I can put this into motion and just analyze my forecast point and how much rain is expected here over the course of the next 2 weeks. You can watch the European. And we can even zoom in while we're doing this and watch the European kind of add up rainfall totals here across the eastern portion of the country in the 10 to 15, where it may get a little bit more active. So really excited to roll this out and unveil this to you all. There's so many different tools, mesoscale models and different parameters and things that we can look at here for offering different ways to forecast visibility, precipitable water, dew point temperature, simulated radar products, all the things. Really, really cool stuff, and really excited to roll that out and start offering this to the masses. It's going to be a lot of fun, so stay tuned for that. Let's look at further into the forecast here, though, as we look at the next couple of weeks outside of what we just talked about. Dry this week. Bottom left is the 1 to 7 day rainfall percent of normal precip. Again, compared to normal, it's drier, which is needed. It's cold in the east. We're running some 5 to even 8, 9 degrees below normal. Warm in the central plains. Looking out to week 2, still cool, below normal, cool into the east. A little bit more activity showing up in the south central U.S. and the in the Canadian prairies, which is going to be needed. You can see some rainfall potential there showing up in week 2. 8 to 14 day temperature probabilities of being above normal. The highest probabilities are going to be centered off to the west and southwest right now, from 60 to 80% probability. You're not cold in here. You just don't have the highest likelihood of being above normal just yet in that time frame. Okay, so beyond that, we're looking at a couple things here, and this is looking off of Tropical Tidbits, his website, Levi's website, and looking at the pattern in general for what we may expect coming forward. You can see in general the next 8 to 9 days, there's a ridge west and a trough east in the North Pacific Ocean. That pattern is going to be reflected here. That's what we're seeing here. That's generally what we're seeing. We're watching for any changes. You see in the extended forecast, the European tries to move the ridge over the Aleutian Islands and move the trough out. That could be an indication of warmer and drier times to come as we get into May, with the potential at random bouts of stronger storms and severe weather. And the MJO, the Madden-Julian oscillation, tries to depict this. This is the 15 to 20 day forecast using the European Weekly. you can see we have members floating in the 6 to 7 area. All right, generally there's more support for a phase 7 MJO getting into the week 3 and 4 time frame if you look at some of the various sub-seasonal models. The April phase 6 puts the ridge overhead. That's what we're doing in the North Pacific Ocean. We're putting a ridge overhead. Phase 7 continues to offer up, you see this loaded, this big Aleutian trough here, or in the Northeast Pacific trough. This would indicate a wavy pattern, an active pattern where fronts can still slide through. Okay, you can note the trough in phase 7, which would mean you would have storm systems that would come through and offer up the potential for severe weather in the area I talked about just moments ago. And intermittently throughout that, you would probably have bouts of warmer and drier weather. Okay, the sub-seasonal models reflect this. Our updated 16 to 30 day outlook reflects it. You look at the overall, and of course I'm a knucklehead. I put the European twice. I meant to put the CFS here so you could see the CFS. But the takeaway in the 16 to 30 is you see the European getting a little bit more active in here. Okay, CFS very similar in the area it's getting more active in, a little bit more widespread, but the CFS kind of gets biased to wet sometimes. All right, the temperature forecast from the CFS was a tad warmer. It had the warmth kind of stretched out like this. Nonetheless, they're similar with the trough and cooler risks east and west of the ridge. But you see what the European does. Okay, so the 16 to 30 day outlook, this is from our Clarity product from BAM Weather. This is our official map. You can see we're favoring majority of a warm up here, with the exception of the east and the PNW. All right, precipitation to run above normal, at or above normal for a lot of the U.S. growing regions. Okay, we're still going to continue to run that active pattern out through the 5th of May. Drier south and east, drier to the west is the current thought process in the 16 to 30 day period. What about beyond that? Well, what I want to talk about next is I don't want to scare anyone. I'm not trying to create a hype or get people to click on us because we're trying to freak people out. But I want to talk about the future here in April and in May and what I think some of the leading suggestions are for the analogs, for the pattern. All right, and when you look at everything that we have, the leading analog right now is the year 2012. There's really no question. In fact, there's a lot of confidence in saying that that's the leading analog for the time being. However, I don't think it's a direct one-to-one correlated outcome to that year. And I want to explain that to you right now, okay? This is a look at the current sea surface temperatures, the way they look from normal. This is where we are right now, okay? And this was 2012. All right, so I want to just kind of point the similarities out to you so you can see them, make them obvious for you, right? So so you can see where they are. It's very, very closely matched. There's really not a lot of discrepancy. If anything, the only discrepancy could be the Atlantic, the AMO. It could be warmer here and it's cooler here. There's a lot of similarities in the Indian Ocean as well as the Pacific Ocean. You can just look at the two and see the similarities. All right, so what happened in May of 2012? Well, in May of 2012, essentially, it kind of stopped raining for the most part. The first couple of days in May, there was some rain, but overall it ended up starting to get pretty dry. And the temperatures started to ramp up relatively quickly. This is a look here, basically running about 3 to 7 degrees above normal in May, which is warm. Okay. In as far as the eye can see, which would be out to probably, let's call it the end of May, in my opinion, 2012 is the leading analog. Do we think, could it be a year where it's like 2012 in terms of the intensity of the drought? I don't think so right now. And here's why. This is the aridity index from 2012, same period now. So you have 2025, which is now, 2020 or 2012 here. The aridity index shows just how brutally dry we were at this time in 2012. All right, this is when you look at this, I'll try to draw the same area I just drew up here. when you look at this year, it's not nearly as dry. The indication to me would be, right now, if there were risks, is that we're looking at a drier western and a drier eastern part of the country with potential gaps in here of having moisture and cool shots in the eastern belt. Okay? So that's the idea right now is, the pattern can be, can we go into a dry, hot summer? Yes. There are indications of that. There are indications we're going to have heat problems and moisture problems. And so I just don't think it's as intense or as severe as 2012 right now. Okay. 2012 is one of those years that just is, it's worst case scenario. So the weather pattern evolution could go like that. The severity of it, don't think it does right now. So hopefully that makes sense. So here's our longer term outlooks. Again, you can go to Clarity and get these. Here's the May temperature forecast right now. Okay. If anything, we may have to trend this warmer. Okay. We haven't updated this since March 19th. So if anything, this may have to trend warmer. We're seeing above normal temperature forecasts in the central U.S. Okay. And the precipitation outlook does start to inch drier. We do start to push precip out of the belt here. Okay, maybe the far eastern belt in the Canadian prairies. If we look at our current June outlook, we see the cool temperature setup east, warm to very warm in the central plains, and the June precip outlook right now, which looks like this. And these are where the concerns could start to grow if things continue on the route that they're on. Okay, so we'll keep you posted. For those of you who are interested in getting more of our information, go to bamwx.com, click Get Instant Access. You can do a free trial and trial our platform, talk to our Mets for free at any time. Just fill out the form. It's free, no credit card required, and we'll keep you up to date with weather. Weather's going to be a big deal this year. It's going to drive your decisions in your business, and it's going to impact your business. So we want to make sure we get you the best information you can get. So thanks for watching. We'll keep you posted. Have a great day.